Alright, let's get started for today's topic. We will talk about the debt issue, debt related negotiable instruments. Okay. So think about this, okay. In order to run your business, okay, for those of you even new for this program, you are going to take my financial accounting in summertime. But before we go into the financial statement, let's think about this. For your company to run the business, and if assuming today you receive an order from a customer, so it doesn't matter you have a physical store or you have an eBay store, doesn't matter. You receive an order from your potential customer, the order is here and they even pay the deposit. The problem is you don't have inventory because you want to manage is what we call the zero inventory, okay? That really means you do not keep any stock, but you know where to get the merchandise. You know the quality, you know the price, you know for sure they are available. So the best way to do your business, probably one of the best way to do your business is to keep zero inventory. So until the moment you receive the money come in, so for example, you have eBay store, you receive the payment from the PayPal already. So the money is in your account already. Then according to the term, you promise to deliver the merchandise say within 5 business days. So on Monday you received the payment through PayPal. And as long as you can deliver that by Friday, you should be fine. Alright, assuming everything is going so well, and then you go out to purchase the merchandise. And as I say, you know where to get it, you know the price, you know the quality, you know the quantity, they are all available. Oh, you are back. Welcome back from Taiwan.
No, not yet.
Not yet? I thought you go back to Taiwan. Anyway, so you receive an order, you receive the payment on Monday, and right now your job is to get your inventory in order to deliver this on time, deliver this order on time. So just assuming your customer placed an order, say 10 units of XYZ item, and for each one the selling price is $50. So you receive $500 already in your PayPal, and you know where to get this XYZ item from, such vendor, okay, certain vendor, and your cost is $30. Pretty good profit, right? You make $20 on each one, so in one day you make $200. So assuming you have established the long-term relationship with this vendor, okay? You have established. So even better, when you go out to buy these 10 units, you don't pay cash. You receive cash 500 already. So in one side, we are talking about the inventory management, zero inventory. The other side, we are talking about the debt management. There's double benefit, right? You keep zero inventory in one side, and also you keep no cash payment for this transaction. Say for example, your payment is 15 days. Very good. Think about this. If you can repeat this pattern on the regular weekly basis, if you can repeat this on daily basis, that's even fantastic. But assuming you repeat this on weekly basis, you have a 15 days payment. That really mean you received cash already. The cash keep in your account, still there, and then you can keep that for 2 cycles. As I say, you repeat this pattern weekly, right? You don't need to pay $300 total to your vendor for 2 weeks. Eventually, by the day you pay out $300, you receive 500 3 times already, right? On day 1 you receive a 500, you place an order, but the due date is 15 days after, and you repeat this, so you receive 1,500 already. So for every $300 payment, you already receive 1,500. That is 5 times the cash flow ratio. I'm only talking about you repeat this once a week. If we repeat this on daily basis, you can imagine how wonderful your business should be. And I'm only talking about one order, say 10 pieces of XYZ item. If you can manage this on the multiple items, and you just cannot imagine how much profit, okay, for your business. So for your financial management, that is not my business, okay, but this is a very important concept. And also I may also suggest you think about this, use this as a business model to prepare your final presentation, okay? Because for today, our topics is not on the financial management. Of course, it's not on the inventory management. We will talk about the related legal issue here. Okay. Any legal issue related to your debt management, okay? Because for your successful business, you need to try to learn how to use somebody else's money to earn money. In my scenario, you use somebody's money legally, by the way, okay? Must be not in wrong, okay? So I'm talking about legally way, okay? To use somebody's money to earn your legal lawful money, and this is one example. Right? I think when eBay invent PayPal method, okay, PayPal method, this is almost revolution, okay? You pay 5%, right? I'm not quite sure. It's a 5% fee for, I believe it's a 5% fee, right? This is almost nothing. Think about this. If your margin is, in my case, is $20 over 30. Oh wow, this is almost like a lot, 60% margin. So if you have a 20%, 30%, 50% margin, you don't care about to pay 5% because you get cash already, right? So before you want to run your own business, think about this: how to utilize somebody's money to earn your money. And one of the channel to do that is you collect the money from your customer upon the time they place an order. And eBay store is one of the example, not only one, but one of very good example for you to learn. And try to establish the long-term relationship with your window, okay? And in my case, I just mentioned 15 days. In reality, you can easily to get 30 days. Easily get 30 days. All right? So that is our topic for today, okay? And for those of you, if you ever heard about the balance sheet, this is the basic formula of balance sheet. We will talk about the detail in summer. For the basic item on the balance sheet is assets equal to liability plus equity. So in my example, so when you ordered 10 pieces of XYZ item to your vendor, and the unit price is $30. So we know on this single order, if by the time your vendor delivered 10 pieces XYZ to your inventory, you receive assets. That is called inventory. So 10 times $30, you have a value $300 assets in your inventory. So on the left side, you see you have a $300. Okay, if you don't understand, if you get lost, you stop me. Okay, I'll repeat it. So for this transaction, okay, let's leave the sales alone. Okay, I'm talking about the purchase side. Okay, so when you receive the purchase from your vendor, you have a 10 pieces, each $30 value cost. So when you receive this shipment, for your balance sheet, you have on the left side total $300 value as inventory. Inventory is assets. And according to the basic principle, financial accounting principle, when you have $300 assets, you must have the same equal amount on the right side, $300. However, the difference is this $300 could be on liability, or could be on equity, or could be combination. So let me give you one example. If this $300 is financed by the owner, funded by the owner, that means owner put $300 equity to pay this, assuming pay cash, okay? Pay cash upon deliver, okay? POD, okay, COD. So that's a $300 on the left, $300 on the equity side. You do not owe any money to your vendor. This is case number one, but that is not the one we are going to talk about today, all right? Case number two is my case. Upon receive this $300 on the left, you don't pay nothing, you don't pay anything. You owe the money to your vendor, and that is liability. So $300 on the left, $300 on the right, but that is under liabilities. It's also called account payable. Okay, account payable is one of example we are going to talk about today. So far so good, right? Mm-hmm. Of course, this is another combination we are not talking about, but I just mentioned to you. When you receive this $300 inventory, you may pay $300 cash, that being under your business account already. If that is the transaction, it is assets increase 200 under inventory. In the meantime, assets decrease 300 under the cash, but still balance because it's 0, 0, 0, 0. But again, we will talk about more detail in the financial accounting. All right. But for today, I just want to bring out your attention. Why debt management is so important? I believe this is one of the topic for your finance class. Okay, one of the chapter or more. Okay, you're gonna talk about how to manage your debt issue. All right, so this is the topic. All right. By the way, okay, housekeeping. Okay, writing down the following course, and this is the probably this is tentatively finalized. Okay, our final presentation scheduled on the May 4th Sunday. That is because I am not available on the 10 and 11 weekend. So I would like to finish our course, but I know you have a May 3rd regular class scheduled on Saturday already. So this is one of the very unique session scheduled on the May 4th. And this is your final presentation. And you are assigned the 15 minutes oral presentation in the classroom. Okay, and your final grade depends on that a lot. Okay, so try your best, do not miss the class. Okay, try your best. Okay, other than that, this is the regular. All right, so on my slide today, okay, when we talk about the negotiable instrument, the instrument really means the legal document. Okay, when you write off some legal paper and deliver to somebody, upon delivery, you owe some kind of liability, especially monetary obligation to the person receive your paper. This kind of paper, usually we say this is a negotiable instrument. In our daily life, for example, your personal check. When you write out your check to somebody else, you better off make sure your funds is available in your checking account. So the people, the receiver, they go through the bank exchange system, they can get the money honor. All right. And for the international business, we'll probably talk about that. That is on our book, page 696, letter of credit. But let me remind you again, it is not early. It is not early. You should have done this already, okay? To prepare your final presentation. Pick up any topic you like, any topic related to your real business, or any topic really interests you. Pick out. Don't wait, because I believe you should have the final presentation done by the mid of April 12th. We may have a midterm, a written midterm quiz on the April 12th. Okay, so it's quite busy. Okay, it's quite busy for your April. Okay, so it is not early for you to finalize your presentation topic. Okay, do it as quick as possible. Promissory note. Anybody heard about this? Promissory note.
That's to be paid in the future, right?
Right. If you have mortgage on your home, if you purchase a home with part of down payment and with the loan, and that is one big issue for you. And the promissory note is one type of negotiable instrument. And in the promissory note, you define who is the borrower. You are the borrower, okay? And then who is the lender, right? And then what's the rate? Whether or not it is a fixed rate or adjustable rate, and how long the period of the maturity, usually 30 years, all right? And then more importantly, what kind of payment? We'll talk about the payment later on. And this is between the regular consumer and the bank. However, between the private party, you can do that. Once in a while, I have my client come to see me, and just between private parties. And they say party A will lend the money to party B, certain amount of money, and they talk about the interest rate already, and how long is the payment term. Usually between the private party, I would say 3 years is pretty much popular, between 3 to 5 years. Anything longer than that, you don't feel comfortable. Okay, so that is promissory note. We will not talk about the collateral for today. The reason why is we mentioned that last session, if you still remember, under the UCC, we talk about collateral with the personal property. And we will talk about the mortgage and the deed of trust in I would say this on the, April 26th. We have one session we'll talk about the real estate property, real property. So when you borrow the money to buy a home, it's very similar, okay. However, there's different rule, different law to regulate the mortgage. And in California, we don't say mortgage. In California, we say this is a deed of trust. It's a different terminology, but we'll talk about that later on, okay. So let's talk about the promissory note, okay. Let's talk about the interest rate. Because one of the big issue for the lending money, that's the interest rate. For your regular business, go back to my case, okay? If you establish the long-term relationship with your supplier, with your vendor, and you have 30 days payment, say in this order, right? You place this order on Monday, and you know the total is $300, and you don't have to pay $300 for 15 days, and see what's unique here. What is unique here compared to the regular lending money?
There's no interest, right?
No, there's no interest. There's no interest. Okay? For the regular, for the very common account payable, usually vendee, they do not talk about interest rate because they assume your payment should be on time. Alright? But even though there's nothing mentioned about interest rate, you know there is time value, right? You learn this from your finance class, finance management. You know each dollar has its time value. They really mean if you pay $200 on Monday, the value is more valuable than you pay this 15 days after. So even though for regular account payable there is no interest rate issue, but you know there is hidden there. So either in your finance class or in my financial accounting class, we will talk about the time value later on. Okay, so change back to my another scenario. Private party or consumer and the bank. When you borrow the money, there is interest rate issue there. Okay, but be careful. You heard about the Federal Reserve. We have the new chairwoman just came on the board, right? So it's a Federal Reserve System or bank. Okay, it's more like central bank to another country. Okay. You heard about the interest rate announced by FED once in a while. Did you read the news or you heard the news? There are three major interest rates determined by FED, not including mortgage rate. Okay, mortgage rate is determined by the money market, by the market. However, there are three interest rate determined by Fed. Anybody heard about that? Peter, still remember that? We talked about three rates long time ago. Close enough. Okay. The first one is called, if you can get online, you can see it, okay. The first one is called discount rate. You may or may not talk about this in your finance management, so I better off mention this in my business law class. Okay. Otherwise, you will not be covered for the whole program. The second one is called prime rate. The third one is called federal fund rate. Those three rates are determined by or announced by Federal Reserve. And the function, I think you will learn that in your finance management course. Okay, the function of those three rates is to regulate the money circulation throughout the nation. Okay, throughout the nations. say basically if the economy is going slow, just like a few years ago, and same thing happening in Europe right now, in Japan right now, in order to stimulate the business, to stimulate the economy throughout the nation, the central bank, they will lower the rate. They will lower the rate, make the cost go lower for business to borrow the money, for personal, for individual, for business to borrow the money. Okay, so when the money circulate more easily or rapidly on the market, and hopefully the overall economy will be boosted, okay, or getting better. And that happened. That really happened. Okay, during the year 2007, 2008 through almost 2011. And right now, currently we can say the economy in the United States is getting stable. It's not perfect, but it's much better than a few years ago. However, if you read news, right now in Europe, still very bad. And some people even propose to adopt the negative interest rate. What do you mean by that? If interest rate is a -1, what does that mean?
They'll give you money.
They will lend you the money and give you the incentive.
Right.
So they will lend you, they will give the loan $100, you receive this $100. There is no interest rate, but every year if it's -1, they will pay you $1 to you. That's called -1%. How does that make sense? If that really happened, but it did happen before in Japan, negative. That really means the government want to encourage the business or personal to borrow the money, but not idly. You borrow the money to do the investment. You borrow the money from the bank to replace your old equipment, to purchase land, to build out the building, and try to make profit. So even with negative interest rate, the borrower still obligated to return the money. By the way, hey everybody, okay? You borrow $100, even though you don't pay any interest, you receive $1 every year, but by the end of the maturity, you're obligated to pay back everything, okay? Not including the interest, so you pay back the principal, all right? So that is very, very extreme case, okay, to stimulate the economy, if that is necessary.
How does the Fed, or what gives them the power to do it? Is it because it's a government, or because it's the larger bank in the country?
Yeah, okay, the Federal Reserve Bank is government, okay? And the chairman, I believe, is 7 years for one term. And usually, the chairman usually take 2 terms consecutive. So they really mean 14 years. Think about this, for president is only 4 years. So it's like more like 3 terms of presidency plus. Every 3 terms of presidency plus, then the chairman be replaced. So this is, oh by the way, the good thing for the chairman of Fed is this person is not subject to the Congress supervise. Okay, if you are the secretary, you are the member of the cabinet, you are supposed to report to the Congress, to the senator, you know. But you know, the chairman of the central bank is quite unique, and only report to the president. That's it. No any other political organization could be able to supervise. So they, of course, you know, not one person running. Okay, it's like a committee. And in my case, in this case, they have a regular meeting, and they discuss the overall economy throughout the nation and even worldwide, and how to keep your nation in the very good track. Okay, so they need to read the labor, the number from the labor department to see what's the job list. Okay, and they want to see the report from the Department of Commerce, and they need to see the report from the Security Exchange overall, and then they determine the rate. For the discount rate, okay. Oh, by the way, let me go one step back, okay. The role played by Department of Finance is different from central bank, okay. And also, I believe you all learned this in your finance course, okay. Secretary of Finance set out the policy, okay. It's called fiscal policy. So the job for the finance department is collect tax, right? So one of the major function for the Department of Finance, number one, determine the tax rate. Of course, must be approved by the Congress, right? Cut tax, raise tax, right? And collect the money, internal revenue, collect the money, right? So, of course, printing the bill, all right? Very important. So that is job of Department of Finance. So usually we say this is a fiscal policy. They set out the fiscal policy. For the central bank, for the Federal Reserve, their job is to do the monetary policy. Monetary. They cannot determine the overall economy level, but they can set up the policy. So their job is to control the monetary circulation throughout the nation. How do they do that? Through the rate. Say for example, they determine the discount rate. Discount rate means once Department of Finance print out the bill, okay, they need to determine what is the rate if the major bank borrow the money from the government. So during the past few years, when the real estate market collapsed, you see millions of homeowners, they got the foreclosure. And the price of the house just collapsed. And in order to save, okay, number one, Department of Finance printing out the money, try to save the bank, because we cannot see the bank close the door, right? Because ultimately, if the majority of the homeowner, they got foreclosed by the bank, and the result is bank accumulate so many real estate property, but they are not cash. They are just idle assets sitting there. And the bank cannot run business without cash. Because cash they already lended already, and they are all gone on the market. So they lend money out and collect a whole bunch of real estate idle. The bank will close the door. So the way to save the bank system is Department of Finance printing out the brand new cash. However, it was up to the Federal Reserve to determine what is the discount rate. Discount rate is the rate government charge to the bank. And as far as I know, right now still keep at 0.25, almost nothing. If bank print the money out to your bank and you don't pay anything, and the annual rate is only $1, you pay a quarter. I'm sorry, $100, you pay a quarter, not $1. Every $100 bill you borrow from the government, for the whole year, you pay a quarter. Think about this. They almost mean nothing because the government transport this $100 to your door. The transportation fee is more than a quarter. It's more than a quarter, either by truck or by electronic wire. So if government only charge a quarter, 0.2% annual rate, that's almost for free. That really means government just print the money, deliver to your bank. And as a bank system, you try to lend out this dollar to anybody, to the business, to the individual, and leave out to those entities to do their business. Hopefully, they can utilize this cash to do more investment and get much higher return. All right, so discount rate is the rate the government charge to their primary, the best customer. It really means that the major nationwide bank system. All right. Number two, the prime rate. Prime rate usually, again, is set up by the, I don't remember how much right now, but it seems like a 3 point something, 3.75 something. I don't remember exactly. You can double check. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe discount rate is 1.25. Okay, maybe. Prime rate is 3.75 or 3.5, something around that range. That is the rate the bank system charge to their best customer. Right now, very commonly you may hear this number on your line of credit. If you apply the line of credit against your home, sometimes called equity line, usually it's the prime rate plus something or prime rate plus 0. That really means whatever the government allows, you pay the same rate. 3 point something, my impression. And the last one, federal fund rate, that is the between bank and bank. Between bank and bank. Why? Why do you think the bank A should borrow the money from bank B? Why? What's the reason why? Because other than those three rates, Federal Reserve also set out the reserve requirement. Reserve, I believe you may hear this in your finance course for sure. Okay, reserve requirement is the percentage federal government require each bank to keep cash in their safety box. Say for example, Bank A just borrow $1 million from government, and if on the day the reserve requirement is 10%, for example, then you can maximum you lend out $900,000. You need to keep 10% in your safety box, in your position. So you can imagine if this requirement higher, the total money circulated become lower, right? Just like a pool, right? Swimming pool. You can lower the water, you keep the water level, right? So the reserve requirement is the valve. Eventually, it's a valve to keep the level of the water, right? So by the end of each day, after the supercomputer, okay, the calculation by the supercomputer, if Bank A found out their cash reserve lower than the requirement from the federal, they must meet. So they need to borrow the cash from another bank to meet the reserve requirement. Okay. So if Bank A borrowed the money from Bank B for overnight, the rate is called federal fund rate. I believe that's 0.25.
It's the lowest one?
Yes, lowest one. Lowest one. Why do I talk about this? Okay, because even though we are not in the finance business, however, if you involve the money lending, okay, between the private party, you need to watch out the prime rate. If prime rate is 3.75, assuming it's 3.75, legally you cannot exceed this number by 5%. So right now, if you want to, a friend of you want to borrow money from you, and you say, okay, I lend you $10,000 in 1 year, right? And you both agreed the annual rate is 10%. but you know that it's not legal. It's not legal because assuming prime rate is 3.75, you cannot plus more than 5. So that means 8.75 is the maximum. Anything under that number is still good, but everything more than that, it's become illegal. If your friend, the borrower would like to pay to you, that's fine. If they argue, then it's not enforceable. Alright, so once in a while I see people come in to see me say, oh, we both agree the annual rate is 20%. Wow, gosh. Alright, then everything exceed the prime rate plus some point become unenforceable, become illegal. And also, usually for the private party, because the maturity term is kind of short, so the borrower will not pay the principal, only pay the interest, until the last day they pay off everything. So let's talk about the payment method, okay? There are 4 different kind of payment methods, okay? Really depends, okay? Keep this in mind, okay? Even though for the account payable, we do not mention interest rate, but there is interest rate hitting there. Okay, they do not mention as interest rate. So for example, in my case, on Monday you place the order, you owed $300 to your vendor, you don't pay anything for 15 days. So if you paid on 15 days, you pay $300, then should be fine. But there's another method encouraging you to pay early. You can discount something. So the discount eventually is the hidden interest rate. We'll talk about that in summer, okay, not right now. Okay. So assuming there is the debt issue here, assuming, okay, there are, remember, right, for the promissory note, right, we need to define who is the borrower, who is the lender, interest rate, whether or not that is fixed or adjustable. If it is adjustable, how do you adjust it? How? Okay. If it is adjustable, usually we use the index plus the margin. Okay. And index again are published by Federal Reserve. You can check that. And I believe throughout the nation there are 11 districts, because each district the economy is different. Okay. So when the Federal Reserve they announce the index, economy index is slightly different in different areas. So for example, we are in San Francisco. I believe we are at the 11th district, I believe. So you can easily check online what is the current index. So for example, you have the adjustable rate, say initially is 5%, and then every 6 months you both agree to adjust it, higher or lower, then you use the index. So you never know what index will be. It really depends on the announcement. But you can determine what's the margin. As I say, right? When you borrow the line of credit, you may agree with the bank, say your interest rate is prime rate plus something. So your margin could be 0. Right? I mean, whatever the index is, that is your interest rate. But usually you want to make higher. As a lender, you want to make it higher. So you can both decide, say we both agree our rate is index plus 1 plus 1.5 plus 2. But do not make it higher than the legal rate. Okay. So let's talk about the payment method. Okay. As I say, for the regular, oh, by the way, I need to one step back. Okay. Once you borrow the money from the lender, you sign off the promissory note. During the period, the lender may resell this promissory note to anybody else without your further agreement. They may just give you the notice, but you cannot say no. And that makes sense, because it will not affect your obligation, right? Your obligation is to pay along with the interest rate agreed. And you don't care about you pay to party A, party B, party C. As long as those people down the road in the chain, they are all legal. Okay, we give the name to those people, say holder. holder in due course. I believe I have that in my slide. Through endorsement. Very similar to the endorsement on your check. So you issue the check to A can endorse that give to B, to C, to D. And finally, it is a people F, cash out the check from your bank. Could be. So same thing to a negotiable instrument. All right. So let's talk about the payment. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Interest rate. Would credit card company be able to charge you higher interest rate than prime rate plus 5%?
Okay. You mean what happened?
Yeah, credit card company.
Oh.
To me, my impression, they
Good
charge
questions.
very high.
Good questions. Good.
Very high.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah. James just mentioned, say, hey, Professor Tong, you just mentioned if the two parties set up the rate higher than certain percent, more than prime rate, it will become unenforceable. But what happened to the credit card company? 29% legally. 29%, but you know, if you are a very good borrower, you are a very good user of the credit card, you pay within the cycle, there's no interest. There's no interest. And so credit companies, they don't like it. They don't like it, okay? They like the other side, okay? The other group of people, because they cannot make money on you. Okay, so you pay everything off within the cycle. You was the merchant who charge you. They pay the discount to the bank. And but if you pay outside the cycle, and you start to accumulate your interest. And for the worst case, usually, if you do not owe the money more than your credit limit, and the bank only charge you the regular rate, I believe it's 5%. It's still okay. Okay. However, if your accumulated balance exceed a certain amount, and the bank start to increase the interest rate, and in the past few years, I represent a lot of debtor. They just lose the ability. They lose the credibility. They lose also financial ability. They try very hard to catch on the payment, but just be drag and finally they come to see me. I believe we may have. I may need to add number 7 if we have time. Okay, that's bankruptcy, but that's not a major issue. So to answer James' questions, what happened to the bank? So for those people, the default, default means start payment. Because on the bottom of each credit card statement you see, what's the full payment, right? And the other one is minimum payment. So if those people that cannot pay the full payment, as long as they can match the minimum payment, still okay. But for those people that match minimum payment, I believe by that time, their interest rate is around 15% already. I just guess. You see, what happened? 15% is much higher than the lawful rate already. And that is not the worst. The worst is if they not even match minimum payment. Say for example, without any payment. After 3 months, and number one, their credit report will be ruined already. If any report like that to the credit bureau, and their credit score will go down to like 450. For the regular people, okay, for the people like you and me, usually we keep our credit score like 730, 750. If there's no any late payment, okay, no any legal issue, usually we can maintain 730, 750 easily. But for those people, their score dropped to 450 very quick. So once they stop the payment, the interest rate accumulated to 29%. Really mean you owe $100, not mention the principal. Every year you need to pay back $30. How could that be? Impossible. How could that be? Right? Even 5% they cannot catch up. So what happened? Because there is an exemption for the bank. If the lender are federal nationwide or state charter, they are the bank or they are financial institution, they are under the supervision of the government agency, there is no limit. Their interest rate is governed by the market, not governed